Oh, Connie, what's wrong? What's wrong, Connie? Pikachu. Let him sleep. Stop it, let go. No, don't let him sleep. Huh? What?
Grammarly helps me get the best grades possible while depleting the least amount of hours of my...
Hi everyone, Dr. Mike here. In this video, we're taking a look at glycolysis. Carbons, it's a little bit too big. 2 glucose, 2 GLUT3 of cell types in the kidneys. So they have different types. It was playing around with sources to be able to split in. What does this mean?
Move through the cell membrane by diffusion, by passively. Is going to be specifically, we'll just do these individually. So what we do, so now let's put a phosphate over here. DHAP and GA fried. Now, I have this dimension. What's the actual fate of pyruvate? Because he can actually divert into 2 different pathways. One is he can actually come over here and he can get convert.
Hi everyone, Dr. Mike.
In this lesson, we're going to talk about something called glycolysis. So what is glycolysis? Well, if we break down the word glyco plus lysis, what does the word lysis mean? Lysis means to split up. Pyruvate represents a 3-carbon molecule. And so basically, you're taking glucose and breaking it apart in half, so to speak. And that's the basic idea behind glycolysis. And in this process, some of the energy that's released as glucose converts into 2 molecules of pyruvate is captured in the form of ATP and NADH. So glycolysis is an energy-producing process. Now let's discuss the net reaction of glycolysis. So glycolysis takes place in the cytosol of the cell. And in the net reaction, we're going to start with a molecule of glucose, which will react with 2 NAD plus molecules and 2 ADP units, or adenosine diphosphate, with 2 inorganic phosphate ions. And this is going to produce 2 molecules of pyruvate plus 2 molecules of NADH. Going from NAD plus to NADH, is that a reduction process or is that an oxidation process? What would you say? Anytime you add hydrogen to a molecule, you're reducing the molecule. So that is a reduction process. Now, in addition to forming the 2 NADH molecules, 2 hydrogen ions will form and 2 units of ATP will be produced. So we're converting ADP to ATP by the addition of a phosphate unit. And then we'll also get 2 water molecules. So that's the net reaction of glycolysis. Now, glycolysis can be broken up into 2 phases, and it occurs in 10 steps. So in the first phase, which represents steps 1 to 5, this is known as the investment phase. And the second phase, which occurs through steps 6 to 10, is known as the payoff phase. Now, when you hear the word investment, what comes to your mind? What do you think about? When I hear the word investment, I think of the stock market. Maybe you want to invest $1,000 in stock so you can sell it for a higher price, maybe $2,000. And so when you think of the word investment, it carries the idea that you have to buy first in order that you can sell for more later. In the case of glycolysis, you need to put in energy so that you can get more out later. And in the first phase, it's endothermic, so to speak. It consumes energy. And in the second phase, it's going to produce energy, but more energy than what you put in. In the first phase, you need to put in 2 molecules of ATP to get the process going. But in the second phase, you're going to get 4 molecules of ATP. In addition, you're also going to get 2 molecules of NADH. So that gives us a net gain of 2 molecules of ATP and 2 molecules of NADH. So now let's go over the 10 steps of glycolysis. So here we have step 1 of glycolysis. And on the left, we're going to begin with a molecule of glucose that doesn't look like a U, so let's fix that. Now, what's happening in this reaction? What is the difference between the structure on the left and the structure on the right? Notice that a hydroxyl group is replaced with a phosphate group. Now, what do you think is the name of the product of the first step of glycolysis? What is the name of this molecule? Well, let's find out. This is carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have a phosphate group attached to carbon 6. And the substrate is a glucose molecule, so this is going to be called glucose 6-phosphate. Now, what is this process called? The process of adding a phosphate group to a molecule. This process is known as phosphorylation. We're phosphorylating glucose to create G6P, glucose 6-phosphate. Now, where does the phosphate come from? The phosphate comes from a molecule of ATP, which is converted to a molecule of ADP. ATP is known as adenosine triphosphate, and ADP is adenosine diphosphate. So ATP has 3 phosphate units attached to it, and ADP has 2 phosphate units attached to it. So going from ATP to ADP, it gives up a phosphate group. And there's an enzyme that helps us to transfer that phosphate group from the ATP molecule to the glucose acceptor molecule, giving us glucose 6-phosphate. Now, what is the name of that enzyme? That enzyme is called hexokinase. So a kinase enzyme catalyzes the transfer of a phosphate group from ATP to another acceptor molecule. And the word hexo is due to the fact that the acceptor molecule, glucose, contains 6 carbons. Hexo means 6. Now, there's something else that's needed in order for this process to work, and it's a cofactor. It's the magnesium 2+ ion. So you need this ion in order for this reaction to work. Now, is this a reversible reaction or an irreversible reaction? Can a reaction only go to the right, or can it go in both directions? Now, under intracellular conditions, the standard free energy change for this reaction, at least according to my textbook, some numbers can change over time. It's negative 16.7 kilojoules per mole. And I'm running out of space here, so if you see me writing very small, it's because there's not much space left. But that's the standard free energy change for this reaction. And because it's relatively large for intracellular conditions, this reaction is irreversible. So if you see a single arrow, that means it can only go in one direction. It's irreversible. If you see a double arrow, that means that it's reversible. And the standard free energy change will be lower if you ignore the negative sign. So if you have a very large negative delta G value, it's going to be irreversible. However, if it's very small, it will be reversible. Now, one thing I do want to mention before moving on to step 2 is I think I wrote delta G naught is equal to negative 16.7 kilojoules per mole for the first step of glycolysis. But this should be delta G prime naught. Now, if you compare it to delta G, which is negative 34 kilojoules per mole, the reason why it's different is due to the pH values. Delta G prime naught is based on a pH of 7 because most cells, they exist in an environment with a pH of 7, where the H plus concentration is 1 times 10 to the minus 7. And so this represents the biochemical standard free energy change. Now, the one that chemists and people who deal with physics, they tend to use this. For this one, the pH is 0, and the H plus concentration is 1 molar, or 1 mole per liter. And so from a biochemical perspective, this is not very useful because most cells, they don't exist at a pH of 0. They exist at a pH of 7. So the delta G values that I'm going to write in the future will be the biochemical delta G standard values. Now let's move on to step 2 of glycolysis. So on the left, we have G6P, glucose 6-phosphate. And what is the name of the molecule on the right side? So take a minute, pause the video, see if you can come up with the name of the molecule. So notice the location of the phosphate group. It's still on carbon 6. Now, we don't have a glucose base unit, but looking at this, what type of sugar do you think this is? Glucose has a 6-membered ring, but fructose has a 5-membered ring. So the name of this particular molecule is called fructose 6-phosphate because we still have the phosphate group on carbon 6. Now, the delta G value for this particular reaction, the biochemical delta G value, it's positive 1.7 kilojoules per mole. So based on that value, would you say that this particular reaction is reversible or irreversible? Now, if you look at the magnitude of this number, it's about 10 times less than the value that was in step 1, which was 16.7. So because this is so much more smaller, we're going to say that this reaction is reversible. Now, this reaction is facilitated with the magnesium 2+ cofactor, so we need that as well. Now, looking at the reactant and the product for this step, what is the relationship between the two? What is the relationship between glucose 6-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate? Well, the phosphates group, they haven't changed, so they're still the same. The only difference is going from glucose to fructose. And glucose and fructose, they're basically isomers of each other. So with that in mind, what type of enzyme do we need if we want to create an isomer, if we want to catalyze a rearrangement reaction? What type of enzyme will help us to do that? So for rearrangement reactions, you need an isomerase. I think I said that wrong. Isomerase enzyme. Specifically, you need a phosphohexose isomerase enzyme. Now, why the word phosphohexose? Well, this word is associated with the reactant. If you look at the reactant, it's a hexose. It has 6 carbons, and it has a phosphate group. So that makes sense that this is a phosphohexose isomerase. And it also works for the right side as well because it can go this way. The product is also a hexose. Fructose is a 6-carbon sugar, and it has a phosphate group attached to it. Now, let's move on to step 3 of glycolysis. So on the left side, we have fructose 6-phosphate. And what is the product on the right side? What is the name of that molecule? So this is carbon 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you notice any differences between the reactant and the product? So notice that a hydroxyl group was replaced with a phosphate group. So in the product, we have 2 phosphate groups. We have one on carbon 1 and on carbon 6. So therefore, this is going to be called fructose 1,6-biphosphate. So I'm going to write BP for biphosphate. Now, if you recall from step 1, what is the name of the process where we're adding a phosphate group to a molecule?
A day that starts with a walk, includes deep work, and ends with friends and a workout. That's the goal. You just need the right system to get there.
What is that process called? So that process is known as phosphorylation. This process, step 3, is known as the phosphorylation of fructose 6-phosphate into fructose 1,6-biphosphate. Now, where does the phosphate come from? So based on step 1, it's going to come from an ATP molecule. And so when ATP loses a phosphate group, it transforms into ADP. Now, like step 1, we're going to need a magnesium 2+ ion to facilitate this reaction. Now, what about the enzyme for this reaction? What type of enzyme do we need? What type of enzyme catalyzes the transfer of a phosphate group onto a fructose substrate? Based on step 1, we know that a kinase enzyme will catalyze the transfer of a phosphate group to a molecule. Now, looking at the acceptor molecule, it's fructose and it has a phosphate group on it. So this particular enzyme is appropriately called phosphofructokinase. In short, it's also called the PFK1 enzyme. So that's the abbreviation for it. And it should be a 1 here too. It's phosphofructokinase 1. Now let's talk about the reversibility of this reaction. The standard free energy change for this reaction, the biochemical version, is negative 14.2 kilojoules per mole. So based on this value, would you say that this reaction is reversible or irreversible? Now this value is pretty close to the value of step 1, which was negative 16.7. So this particular reaction is not reversible. Under intracellular conditions, it proceeds in the forward direction. Now let's move on to step 4 of glycolysis, the cleavage of fructose 1,6-biphosphate. So notice that we got 2 molecules, a ketone and an aldehyde. So what do you think are the names for these molecules? A 3-carbon aldehyde with hydroxyl groups is known as glyceraldehyde. And if you count the carbons, the aldehyde has the highest priority, so that's carbon 1. You'll find that the phosphate group is located on carbon 3. So this is called glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And this one is called dihydroxyacetone phosphate. A 3-carbon ketone is known as acetone. Now, is this reaction reversible? The delta G value for this reaction is positive 23.8 kilojoules per mole. Now, this is a high number, and it's positive, so that indicates that it favors the reactant on the left side. Now, keep in mind, this is the biochemical delta G value, and not the other one that's based on chemistry and physics. It turns out that this particular reaction is reversible. Now, we're going to talk more about that later, but the enzyme that catalyzes this reaction is known as the aldolase enzyme, which is used to catalyze a reversible aldol condensation reaction, which is what we have in step 4. Now, let's talk about the reversibility of the reactions in glycolysis. Now, for those of you who just want to know which steps are irreversible, for those of you who prefer memorization, steps 1, 3, and 10 are irreversible. The rest are reversible. So if you know that, you don't have to go any further. Now, for those of you who want to understand it, let's take the chemist's view of delta G. So this is delta G naught. Notice that when you have a very high negative value, the reaction is irreversible. It's DAP into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Now, this is a reversible reaction, and looking at the reactant and the product, what's the chemical relationship between them? Notice that they both have 3 carbons, 5 hydrogen atoms, 6 oxygen atoms, and a phosphorus atom. So because they have the same number of atoms but a different structure, these 2 species are known as isomers. So this is a rearrangement reaction. And what type of enzyme catalyzes a rearrangement reaction? If you recall, it's an isomerase enzyme. Now let's focus on the substrate molecule that we have here. So we have a 3-carbon ketose sugar, or just keto sugar, with a phosphate group attached to it. So the enzyme that we need to catalyze this reaction is going to be called triose, because we have a 3-carbon sugar, triose phosphate isomerase. Now, it's important to understand that as we get into step 6 of glycolysis, the beginning of the payoff phase, 2 molecules of G3P enter that phase. So if you need to calculate the number of ATP molecules and NADH molecules in that phase that's produced, you need to double everything. So let me give you an overview. So in step 4, we produced 2 different molecules, dihydroxyacetone phosphate and G3P. Now in step 5, this molecule, dihydroxyacetone phosphate, gets converted to G3P. So if we start from our original glucose molecule, at the end of step 5, we have 2 G3P molecules. So going from step 6 to step 10, we need to double everything since we have 2 of these molecules. Keep that in mind. Now let's move on to step 6 of glycolysis, the beginning of the payoff phase. So on the left, we have G3P, glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. And what do you think we have on the right side? So we still have a 3-carbon molecule, but it's not going to be called glyceraldehyde because we don't have an aldehyde functional group. So this is an aldehyde functional group. As you can see, we have a phosphate now. Now, instead of the hydrogen, we do have an oxygen. And so this is an aldehyde, and this is a carboxylate group. So instead of glyceraldehyde, we now have the name glycerate. Now we also have 2 phosphate groups attached to this molecule. we have a phosphate on carbon 1 and on carbon 3. So to put that all together, it's going to be called 1,3-biphosphoglycerine due to the carboxylate group that we have at the end. And bi means 2. So that's the name for the product. Now, what else do we know about this reaction? The conversion of G3P to 1,3-biphosphoglycerine, is that an oxidation reaction or is that a reduction reaction? Now, to give you a hint, in this reaction, we have the conversion of NAD plus into NADH. And it also produces an H plus ion. Now, the conversion of NAD plus to NADH, is that an oxidation or reduction reaction? Now, keep in mind, for every oxidation reaction, there is a corresponding reduction reaction. And just to review, oxidation occurs when you either remove hydrogen or if you add oxygen. Reduction occurs if you add hydrogen or if you remove oxygen. So looking at this reaction here, going from NAD plus to NADH, we're adding hydrogen. So that is a reduction reaction, which means that the conversion of G3P to 1,3-biphosphoglycerine must be an oxidation reaction because that's the other reaction. And you can see it. Here, we're removing hydrogen, so that's oxidation, and we're adding oxygen, which is also oxidation. So G3P is oxidized to 1,3-biphosphoglycerine, and at the same time, NAD plus is reduced. Now, it's important to understand that this hydrogen here ends up in the NADH molecule. Now, the hydrogen that's part of phosphoric acid, well, that's not really phosphoric acid, but that's like, it's an inorganic phosphate. Phosphoric acid would have 3 hydrogens. So that's hydrogen phosphate, if you want to call it that. But this hydrogen ends up here. That's an acidic hydrogen with a +1 oxidation state. Now, let's talk about the enzyme that catalyzes this reversible reaction. What type of enzyme do we need? So I'm going to give you the name this time. It's glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. So this is the name of the substrate. That's G3P. And then dehydrogenase. Now let's focus on the word dehydrogenase. What does that tell us? So the suffix ase tells us that it's an enzyme. Dehydro, that is the removal of hydrogen. And so the dehydrogenase enzyme facilitates the removal of hydrogen in an oxidation reaction in order to reduce NAD plus into NADH. So anytime you see this enzyme, know that it oxidizes a substrate by removing hydrogen, and at the same time, it can reduce NAD plus to NADH. Now, the last thing I want to talk about in this particular step are the numbers. So as we said before, there's 2 molecules of G3P that enters step 6 of the payoff phase. So that means that 2 NAD plus really gets reduced to 2 NADH. And in the bottom, I wrote down the net reaction. So here you can see the 2 NAD plus that reacts with glucose, even though not directly, and the 2 NADH that we get. Now, even the H plus, we need to multiply that by 2. So in the end, we get 2 H plus as well. Now, there's one more piece to the puzzle, and that's the inorganic phosphate. So if we multiply it by 2, we can see that it shows up here in the overall net reaction. So it's good to keep in mind or keep track of what's happening in each reaction, what's being oxidized, what's being reduced, and things like that. So now you know where, not that one, but where these reactants and products show up in the individual steps in glycolysis. So they show up in step 6. Now let's move on to step 7 of glycolysis. So let's begin by figuring out what the name of the product is. Now for the reactant, we know that it's 1,3-biphosphoglycerine. Based on that, can you predict what the name of the product will be? So notice what's different. We lost a phosphate group. So we're still dealing with glycerine, but we don't have a phosphate group on carbon 1. We only have it in carbon 3. So instead of saying 1,3-biphosphoglycerine, this is simply 3-phosphoglycerine. So that's the name of the product for this reaction. Now, where did the phosphate group go? What happened to it? The phosphate group was transferred to a molecule of ADP to produce ATP. And this process is known as substrate level phosphorylation. It's the formation of ATP by a phosphoryl group transfer. Now, what about the enzyme for this reaction? What type of enzyme is used to transfer phosphate groups? So that enzyme is known as a kinase enzyme, but particularly, this one is going to be called a phosphoglycerate kinase enzyme. And it makes sense because we're dealing with a phosphoglycerate molecule, in this case, biphosphoglycerine. Now, something I want to focus on is the production of ATP. Now, remember, we're still in the payoff phase, so everything has to be multiplied by 2. So here we're consuming 2 ADP to make 2 ATP. In the investment phase, we have to put in 2 ATP units. In the payoff phase, we're going to get 4 with a net gain of 2. But right now, this 2 units of ATP represents a portion of the 4 that we need to get during the payoff phase. So it doesn't represent the net gain. It's simply half of this number. The last thing I want to mention about this reaction is that it does require a magnesium 2+ ion to work as well. And so that concludes step 7 of glycolysis. Now let's talk about step 8 of glycolysis. So on the left, we have 3-phosphoglycerine. So based on that, what is the name of the product on the right side? Feel free to pause the video and work on it. So if you look at the product and compare it to the reactant, notice that in this reaction, the phosphate group has been shifted from position 3 to position 2. So therefore, to name this product, it's 2-phosphoglycerate as opposed to 3-phosphoglycerate. Now, what type of enzyme moves a functional group from one position to another? Now, granted, these are isomers. So if you were to say an isomerase enzyme, you're not technically incorrect because the enzyme that I'm looking for is a type of isomerase enzyme. It has a specific name. So this particular enzyme is a mutase enzyme. It's a type of isomerase enzyme, but specifically, its purpose is to move a functional group from one position to another. In this case, to move the phosphate group from position 3 to position 2. So how can we name the complete enzyme that we need for this reaction? So all we need to do is look at the substrate molecule before, phosphoglycerate. So this particular enzyme is called phosphoglycerate mutase. It catalyzes a reversible reaction using the magnesium 2+ ion cofactor. And so that's basically it for step 8 of glycolysis. Now, I know some of you might be excited that we're getting close to the end. It's been a long video, full of information. But before I continue, I just want to recommend that you subscribe to this channel, particularly if you like this video. It's a good way to show appreciation for it. And don't forget to click on that notification bell. I do have other videos on other topics like chemistry, physics, algebra, trig, pre-calc, calculus. So if you need help in those subjects, feel free to check out my channel, and you can find playlists on those topics. But now let's continue on with step 9. Now, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what type of reaction do we have here? Is it a rearrangement reaction, a condensation reaction, a substitution reaction, or something else? So notice what's happening. We're losing a hydrogen and a hydroxyl group. So therefore, water is a side product of this reaction. So this is a dehydration reaction. We're removing water out of the equation. Now, we said that the name of this reactant, which is the product of the last step, is 2-phosphoglycerate. What do you think the name of the product will be? Now, this one might be a little hard to figure out, so I'm going to give it to you. The product is called phosphoenol pyruvate. Now, if you don't know the structure of pyruvate, it might be a little bit more difficult to figure that one out. Pyruvate has a carboxylate group, and attached to this carbon, you have a ketone. And you do have this group as well in pyruvate, but it's going to be a CH3 instead of a CH2. Now, we can see why we have the word phospho there because we have a phosphate group attached to it. But what about the word enol? An enol is basically an alcohol attached to an alkene. Think of ene from alkene and ol from alcohol. So this here is an enol. And you could kind of see that here. I mean, we do have the alkene from the C double bond C, and you do have a CO bond. So thus you have a phosphoenol group because of the phosphorus here. Now, what type of enzyme will catalyze this reaction? Now, this might be hard to figure out, so I'm going to also give this one to you. It's an enolase enzyme. The reason for this is that this reaction proceeds through an enolic intermediate, and so this enzyme helps to facilitate that process. And that's basically it for step 9. So we have the dehydration of 2-phosphoglycerate into phosphoenol pyruvate. And so we get 2 water molecules because there's 2 G3P molecules, starting with step 6. So in the net reaction, which I had before, there's 2 H2O molecules, and this is the reason why. Now, this is the last step of glycolysis. So if we backtrack to the previous step, we said that 2 water molecules were formed, and so we can see that in the net reaction. Now, in step 10, phosphoenol pyruvate is going to convert into pyruvate. And the cofactors that are needed for this reaction are the magnesium and the potassium ions. So what type of enzyme do we need? Notice that we're losing a phosphate group. So anytime you're dealing with a transfer of phosphate groups, you need the kinase enzyme. This one is going to be called pyruvate kinase. Now, what happened to the phosphate group? Where did it go? Based on the previous examples, we know that it was transferred to a molecule of ADP to produce ATP. Now, for every step in the payoff phase, we need to multiply by 2 because we know we're going to get 2 pyruvate molecules at the end. So we need to use up 2 ADP molecules to make 2 ATP molecules. In the investment phase, we have to use up 2 ATP molecules. In the payoff phase, we gain 4 ATP molecules. So this is the other half of the 4 ATP molecules that we've generated in the payoff phase. So if you want to find out where we got these 2 ATP molecules, or rather where we consume them in the investment phase, this is found in steps 1 and 3. Now, these 4 ATP molecules, they're found in step 7 and 10. So remember, you need to double it. So in step 7, we generated 2 ATP molecules, and in step 10, we generated another 2 ATP molecules. In steps 1, we used up an ATP molecule, and in step 3, we used up another one. And so we had a loss of
elimination， 我知道它是怎么过去的，我知道它是怎么过去的。哎呀呀呀 ！How about I use paper? Basic condition, grab that one, and this one would go grab that one, this one would go back, and then we will have所以说我在这一个部分里边，我从 glucose ATP and then so this is glucose 6 phosphate, glucose 6 phosphate， 然后这个过程是用了hexokinase，然后下一步呢，我有它，然后我有一个 B grab 了一个 H， 然后 HB 这个，然后他就 pay me acetyl，然后就展开了，变成了，变成了1、2、3、4 CH2 PO2 minus 变成了这样，然后有 HB plus， 然后这个 grab 它回去，然后 B grab 它回去，所以就把它变成了HO H 两个，然后 H， 然后1、2、3，这是 OH H H H O H O H C H O P O 2 minus， and then 变成了 CH， B grab H 它回去，这儿有BH plus， 这回去变成了 CHROH O H O H H H O H O H CHRO P O 2 minus， 然后它就变成，它就会转嘛，它就会变成这样 CH2O PO 2 minus OH 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 CH2OH 就变成了这样，它是 glucose 6 phosphate fructose 6 phosphate glucose 6 phosphate， 然后整个这个过程我们用的是phosphoglucose isomerase phosphoglucose isomerase， 然后从这个的话 mutar rotation 变成了这个样子H2P goes into minus， 那时候 ADP， 然后变成了 CH2PO 2 minus， 然后 OH 然后 OH CH2O PO 2 就变成 fructose 1,6 fructose 1,6 phosphate， 然后这个是 hexokinase， 应该也是一个 kinase， phosphofructokinase， 所以这个就是这 不是 false or kinase 从 alpha 变成了贝塔。然后我们就从这个aldolase，我们有这个 CH2OPO 3 minus O， 然后 CHOPO 3 minus， 然后我们要贝塔供应它回去，这个上去 A 在这里，它哪去？然后把它分成了2个。2PO3 minus 4H， 所以就变成了DA fructose 1,6-phosphorate 变成了这个是 glucose 3-phosphate。这两个叫 aldose， 这个叫glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate。这个叫 diphosphate。这个过程叫 aldolase。然后他说，他说给动物的话， 这个是 fungi bacteria aldolase， 但如果是 amylase aldolase， 这个是 tautomization animal tautomerization to ketone in a bulk reaction. Nitrogen accomplished by form of 这个可以是animal formulae ion, so it's a positive charge, but aldolase is more a bulk reaction, simple organism, but is more efficient and takes a modified route by using positive charged nitrogen as electron acceptor. So是从 CH2OPO 32 minus， 然后这个是 O， 然后这个是 CH2OPO 32 minus， 然后再加一个 NH2， 然后就变成了 CH2OPO 32 minus N plus H CH2OPO 32 minus， 然后变成它这样以后，B graphene this goes there, this goes up, this goes back， 然后变成了CH2OPO 32 minus CHOH， 然后还有一个是 这个呢我们要 HA， 这个 wrap 这个回去，然后这个过去，它就变成了CH2OPO 32 minus， 然后变成了 NH enzyme plus CH2OH 加 H2O hydrolysis 以后就变成了 CH2OPO2 OCH2OH 成了这样，所以它们两个是一样的 product。它们我有它，这个地方我有它，所以说还需要把这个一样的 product， 这个都是一样的 product， 这个也是 glycerol3-phosphate， 这个也是 dihydroxyacetylphosphate， 所以它们两个都是需要变成然后我们有很多这个3-dehydrogenase， 我们就要用Before we can understand how enzyme works, it's important to know how NADH and NAD+ act as reducing and oxidizing agent respectively. Consider the reduction of acetone with NADH4 nucleophilic addition reaction biology enzyme is reducing agent. And the hydride donor in the reverse reaction, NAD+ would act as the oxidizing agent and the hydride acceptor. Cell ester is subsequently converted into mixed anhydride nucleic acid substitution using phosphate as nucleophile.我们在这个地方呢，我们有一个 enzyme SH， 然后呢，我们有 base， and then this one go attack there, and 我们有 HB, this one will attack there, and this one go back. And then we will have something like HO, HS, ENZ, or HCH2OPO sign to minus. And then we have this one here, which is CONH2. This is NAD+, and beta, go grab that one go there, and this one go circle around. This one would go there, and then we will have O S E N Z H and OH CH2OP goes into minus, and then with H43 minus false sulfur, and we'll have something like OP O32 minus HOHCH2OP2 minus, and enzyme SH. This is 1, 3, phosphoglycerate, and then phosphoglycerate, and then we have O minus this is N, and then we have this one at top there, and then we will have O minus OH HCH2OPO, some 2 minus this is 3 phosphoglycerate， 然后这个叫做 phosphoglycerate kinase， you will have something like PO and O minus, enzyme Z and H plus. We will have beta base contact there, go back, this one attack there, and then we will have this one here attack there. We will have BH one will go grab that H, that one go back. Then we will have T0 minus H O P O sine 2 minus 2 H, and we will have changing position. With those sections, so we'll have 2 cross glycerate, and the process is called phosphoglycerate mutase. We have B go attack there, this one go there, and this one HB plus, this there, and we will have CO minus, PO32 minus, CH2, and then all no pyruvate. This process is called enolase. Dehydrogenation. Emergent hydrogen ketone. This one go back, and this one BH, and this one on top, this one go back, and then we will have CO minus OCH3. This is pyruvate. Dehydrogenase complex can convert it to have pyruvate bond, and then we will where there is oxidation loss of CO2. This reaction performs a pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. So it equals to CH3. This is a minus, and can convert it to so pyruvate can become acetyl-CoA. They are oxidative decarboxylation, where these performed by pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Decarboxylation by pyruvate dehydrogenase, and then this will be something like CoA. So these two are required. So the whole process is so we have Rn, and we have this one attacking there, and then we have HB, we have this one attacking this one go back, and then we will have something like OCO minus COH CH3, and we will have NSR minus and R plus something like that, and then this one go back, that one go there, that one go there, and then we will have something CO2, and we will have something like COH, CH3. Have something like that. And then we will have this thingy. And then we have HB plus, this one go tap there, this one go back, and this one go down, and that one go attack S. Then we will have something like S. R plus COH CH3 S SH reduced form, and then we will have reduced form will have something like this, and we will have B attacking there, that one attack there, and this one go back, that one leaves, and then that one leaves. We will have this one here. the reduction of lipoic acid is converted back to oxide formed by AFAD. With FAD, it will be converted back. Okay. Aminotransferase enzymes and move groups between acid and carbohydrate. aminotransferase reaction. Aminotransfer enzymes that move amino group between alpha amino acids and carbon hydroxide are alpha keto acids serve as important link between amino acid and carbohydrate world. Amino acid 1, carbon 1, amino acid 2, carbon 2. And carbon alanine pyruvate， 所以说是把 amino groups example of an aminotransferase enzyme is alanine aminotransferase, which transfers amino group from alanine to alpha ketoglutarate producing pyruvate and glutamic acid. The reaction is also reversible. 所以说是 aminotransferase， 所以说 amino group 从 alanine 走到了 glutamate。Level in blood are markers for several medical conditions such as liver damage, in which case these reactions require pyridoxal phosphate. Pyridoxal 需要被 pyridoxal phosphate PLP coenzyme that functions as amino group carrier. And are based on imine chemistry. The first reaction removes amino group from the amino acid to make alpha keto acid. Alpha keto acid. Conversing alpha keto. The second reaction just the reverse of the first reaction. Okay. So what we do is we have vitamin B, so PLP. 这叫什么 PLP 叫 pyridoxal phosphate. Something like this. H plus this OPO3 2 minus there OH So this is B6. This is pyridoxophosphate. 所以这是 PLP. So with this one, I have NH2, something like COO minus, alanine. We have this one, and then we have these two to make ketone acid. Conversion of alanine to, so we make NH2 and same thing. Okay, we make something like that, and this is pyruvate. So this is pyridoxamine form. This is PMP. Okay, this is the first step. The second step, just reverse reaction, except the amino group is returned to a different keto acid. So we have this one, add OOC, OCO minus alpha ketoglutarate. And then we will make it to this one, and COO minus, COO minus, NH2 glutamate. Okay. The next page is some mechanism for the first reaction. So I have this one, and we will add the amino acid react to. So this got added to the top, and then water left. Okay, so I will have to do everything again. So we have HO. This is pretty satisfying. Okay, so I have this, and then with H2N, COO minus, we will have something like HN, COO minus, H, something like that, and then same thing, OPO3 2 minus, and then there, and OH, there, and H plus, H there. So I'll have something like that, H2O. So 它和它变成了它和它， And then we will switch double bound. So with B, attack H, this one go across, this one returns, this one goes down, and that one goes to there. And then we will have something like H N CO minus, and then we will have OPO3 2 minus OH and H, and then we'll have something like that. And then we have that one go up, this one go up, and BH. So this one go there, this one returns, and then after this we will have something like H, and something like OPO3 2 minus OH and H plus something like that. And then after this we gave two hydrolysis of mean. So we have everything stayed the same, just the top. So we gave this one an H2O. We hydrolysis this one, and then that one just leaves. Oh, actually we use this O2 there, and then this one detach, right? We give this O2 there, this one release, and then we'll give it H. So we hydrolyze. We give it something like H2, and BO3 2 minus something like OH, H plus, and we have something like 0 minus. Therefore, pyruvate would form mechanism. Oh, this one go attack to this one, and then this one detach, 然后这个是 liquids 了。OK， 然后我需要做 liquids 的题对吧？我先要不要复习一下 liquids 的题在哪里？这里面都在这里。Yes. Which one fully structured pattern curve of natural fats or oil? Natural fats and oil. How do we know how natural have a backbone? We have backbone. We have whatever this is. We will have the preservable ability, therefore larger source of fatty acid, tail. So we will have a tail. So longer the tail, higher the melting point. And with trans, the melting point decreases. Okay, because of long carbon is a short one, so waxes, natural oil and fat. We will have glycerol. We have fatty acids. So we will have glycerol. So 3 fatty acids are not found in the body. Triester. So we will have 1, 2, 3. And then so we'll have 1, 2, R2. So C will be it. What would be the difference between this one and this one? This one has everything same, it's just the back of it. So it would be DRCOOH. What is COOH? So it would be practice questions. It would be D. Okay. And then which one following pertain to ester hydrolysis most correctly? In which one following pertain ester hydrolysis? Ester hydrolysis. So forming the bonds. Multiplication. So we have how many ways? So fatty acid synthase. How many CC bond do you know of? 1, 2, 3. 40 them all the way. So this is forming we're looking at so in acid catalyzed hydrolysis, the carbonyl is protected made by their electrophile. Water is protected even the protonated carbonyl is viscous stabilized. Acid catalyzed are the leading group part of alkoxide. We are looking for this. This is it. Hydrolysis under basic conditions gave saturated solid unsaturated oil, saturated unsaturated oil in laboratory glycerase can be hydrolysis. 它如果有 kink 的话，它的这个 melting point 更低。有 kink 的话 melting point 更低，如果这里变成了 fatty acid, maybe hydrolysis of ester, 纯颜色 catalyzed. Process. Making it's protonated. Carbonyl is protonated. Carbonyl is protonated. Better profile. Okay. Which of the most likely to be solid? More kink where more pH solid. So the ester below is combined with isotopically labeled water as indicated by the dot below in presence of catalytic hydrochloride, which are found to be found in reaction mixture at equilibrium. What do they do? process making process reduction, the fatty acid, other fatty acid, catabolism of sugar fatty acid, catabolism, phosphorylation, oxidation of glycerol, beta oxidation of fatty acid, fatty acid oxidized, conjugated, soup and reagent, detergents, and phospholipids, nucleic acid, peptides, DNA sequence, weekly evaluation, gold, These turbulence was combined with isotopically water, leave us is reversible, so it will leave us H. There's no Brockley reaction. What does it mean though? Mr. Brombeil combines the with water, leaves us is likely to be found in reaction. 什么情况下这个 H 和在什么情况下这个就差不多是这个喽，就差不多是这个喽。然后我们的整个过程是，所以说我们在 making fatty acid。首先呢，TCC bond join nucleophilic acid substitution where enolate of one ester acts as carbonyl, replacing the O1 group. So I have OH, CH, some OR, and then we have O and HHH, or we have so an OR and a plus OR minus, and we have this one attack there. That one go, this one goes up, so we'll have O minus, OR, okay, and then we will have why do we have something like this? We have nucleophile and nucleophile electrophile, so we will have this one down there. This one comes down, this one goes up. Why do we have this one here? And then we will have, and then we will have, O, OR, and we will have OR， 它和它连起来。And then this minus comes down, this one leaves, and then we will have H and H. And then we will have and we will Okay. We will take saturation chain. We will have that one there. We will have that one there. And circular conversion can take us to a saturated chain. So with reduction, we'll have something like that. With dehydration, we'll have something like that. And then have this one reduction. Add another 2 unit and see reduction reaction to give 6 ester. So we will add more. We can add more to form this one. 4 types of reaction occur. Same was recorded. However, the bottles cannot identical about the reasons because doesn't. Okay. So in this, so we have something like this, and then reduction is NaBH4. We would have OH, OR, and we have dehydration. Minus H2O, we will have something like this, and then we reduction have PD. PDCF2 PDC PDCF2 PDC on carbon catalyzed PDC OH2. This is reduction, and we would have something longer. We'll have something longer. But this doesn't really work on this. This is laboratory synthase. This is lab synthase. Okay. So biosynthase. What do we do? Modification, use thioester. So we use thioester, we found a rubric-based modification to use carbonyl equivalents. So, something. This is the process. So I'll need to give. So we have something like this. Using sort of oxygen ester. This is oxygen ester. So we have theoester as R, and then so this is another way. So this or this. Okay, so if I'm going this way, 它加它，然后我们就变成了这个2+2 加 S1 minus, and then with we have made without base closing. So what do we do? So first we have this one. We have H 哪来的 O？ 这个吗？不是啊。We have ATP. Although without using the other ways so completely use carbonyl equivalents. So we have this one, and made from acetylcyliester.本身是acetylcyliester。So we have OH, and we have, what is this? H, phosphorylate carbon oxide, which is to form carbon. What is this? This is ATP, and this is B7. So we have tucking there. This one go tuck there. That one go up. That one go down. This one detach. So we'll have B O minus, O minus, O minus, and we will have something like something like that. And then we'll have transfer to a cyclical way. So we will have this R, this you get H. We have beta tag there. This one. This one will go tag there. This one go up. This one go down. And then this one go tag HA. And then we will have NHH, and we will have something like OH. This one, we will have something like this. And we're having this. Now let's have this term. Now fill this term. And we have sorry, this is acetyl ester. And we have this one go attack, and this one will go attack there, this one go up, this one go down, and this one go away, and then we will have something like this one, and RS minus, and then we will have reduction, and we will have SROH, and then with this one we will have dehydration, and then we will have reduction. Something like this. And then diffusion problem typically consists 16 C molecules, because fatty acid go to C at a time. And so the energy, which is 16, the reaction will be using acidyl carrier protein polypeptide chain with long arm made from pantothenic acid. So we have this side. So this polypeptide chain 加上一个 And then the multi-enzyme complex. So we have fatty acid synthase. 这有一个这个，然后呢 the acyl group. The acyl group is loaded into the fatty acid synthase complex. The normal component is bonded to the site, and then post-reaction catalyzed by the transferase catalase, and then what? This is making it longer. The reduction, while we're reducing it, dehydration. This is other fatty acid. So, diffusion problems. This is for diffusing the reaction done multi-enzyme complex. So with it growth chain not flow away until it's detached. So we're growing it. So with reaction. So ACP is acyl carrier protein and fatty acid synthase are used. This is FAS. They are used to rolling chains. Rolling chains. OK， 所以说我们有一个这个胖的 FAS， 然后呢，它有一个 site， 有个 HS site， 然后它有一个 ACO-A， and then we will have ACO-A. So we have this. Okay, we'll have this acyl-CoA, and we will have O minus there, O as CoA, and HS C ACP, and 这个有一个 site， 这个有一个 site， 然后是减去CoA， 所以说是它们两个在一起，他们两个绑在一起之后就变成了还是这个 FAS， 然后这个绑在了 S 和 O CH3，然后这个地方这里是 ACP，然后这里是 S， O， minus O， 然后这个是 nucleophile 下去，然后这个勾这里，这个上去，这个下来，然后这个变成 HA， 之后就变成了 FAS， 就变成了 SH， 然后这里就变成了 ACP 和 SO， 变成了这样，就成了这样，然后reduction 就变成了 FAS， 然后变成了一样的东西 SH， 这个是 ACP， 这个是 O， 然后是 COH， 这样，然后之后 dehydration， 然后就变成了 dehydration， 就变成了这个然后再变 reduction， 就变成然后 swap position， swap position， swap position， phase 成了 S CH3， 然后这一个是 ACP， 这里是 SH， 然后之后就是一个新的 cycle， 就是 AS， 然后这个是CH3， 这个 ACP 加上S， 然后 minus， 这个回去，这个上去，这个下去，这个 attack， 这个上下，然后这个 attack H plus， 然后就一直弄到 growing turn touch one active nucleophile is always a growing, it's always a growing tree. The nucleophile is out. Grows and the cell is turned end. second reduction step, reduction, dehydration, reduction, CHH, NADP, and contact HA.那我就变成这样，可以，然后dehydration的话是B，我这里有两个 H， 这个 tag 这个 H， 这个都正常，这个 tag H B plus 成这样。然后这个reduction到这里是 reduction， 又是 NADPH， 然后NADPH， 是这个。也是H minus 到这里来，这个到这里来，这个到 H A， 然后我成了这样，Michael addition， conjugation addition。Reaction waves also generate uniform with the addition of a nucleophile to beta carbon. The conjugation is named Michael addition. This is called Michael. Is the decentralized. I feel beautiful when I can see another part of my effort. Rising condensation of electrolysis. Tetrahydro must proceed through tetrahydro intermediate. Okay. Hydrogen compound will not be intermediate in the biochemical synthesis compound below. Interesting. But continuing the reform to kind of things很高它们两个的区别是它这儿有一个这一块手确实是那种的是 OH 呢，把它分开以后应该是 OC。cycle，那为什么这个没有 remove？ 因为这才第一个 cycle 没有完，这正在 reduce 它，所以这个 make sense。没错。 in nature both stars, concordant protein, and reducing difficulty to so transfer reducing hydrating, reducing no carboxyl transfer, carboxyl transfer. Protein versus carboxyl group. Let us use those carboxyl transfer. Carboxyl transfer reagent.我的想放弃了，好像可以。